Hello everyone, welcome back to Keystone IAS Academy for our current affairs series. In today's session, we will discuss three very important topics from the Hindu newspaper today. India's new labor policy, why astronauts wear pressurized suits, and finally, a fascinating discussion on the rare earth hypothesis. Let's start with our first topic, labor policies. Here it is. Labor policies and reforms are one of the most important topics for UPSC both in prelims and mains. While you go through previous year questions here, don't just look for the answers. Try to understand why the question was asked and how the concept connects to governance and welfare. Now, coming to the article. The article critically examines India's draft Shram Shakti Niti 2025, highlighting how the new labor policy, despite its digital and inclusive claims, fails to address the realities of worker exploitation, informalization, and weak social protection, leaving millions vulnerable to forced labor and unsafe working conditions. And as I already said, it comes under GS paper 2 governance and GS paper 3 inclusive growth, employment, etc. So what the article says, the government calls this policy future ready, inspired by ancient Indian ethos. But on the ground, the story is quite different. The article begins with a real example: women working in seafood factories peeling fish heads in freezing conditions. They were initially promised PF and ESA benefits, but later reclassified as daily wages, losing both benefits. This highlights how forced labor and exploitation still exist despite existing labor protections. Now, what does the Shram Shakti Niti 2025 actually propose? It introduces a universal social security account, which plans to merge EPFO, ESIC, PMJAY and eShram. What all these things? EPFO is Employee Provident Fund Organization, which are retirement savings. ESIC or State Insurance Corporation, which is health benefits. Then Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which is also health insurance for poor households. And what is eShram, which is a national database for unorganized workers. Okay, so all this covers health, pension, maternity and insurance benefits. So what this new policy aims, which plans to merge under one system. So the policy wants to integrate all four under one system, which sounds great on paper, but here's the problem: no funding plan. So it risks a digital promise without real financial backing. So another major issue is digital exclusion. What is it? Only 38% of Indian households, only 38% of Indian households are functionally literate online. So if everything shifts to digital, many workers, especially women, elderly and informal laborers, will be left out. This violates Article 15 of our constitution. What is this Article 15? Which prohibits discrimination based on caste, gender or other factors and implies everyone should have equal access to benefits. The policy also promotes an AI-driven national career service portal to match workers to jobs. But the article warns that without AI safeguards, such systems might reinforce caste or gender bias in hiring. It also aims to raise female labor participation to 35% by 2030, but without clear maternity support or workplace quotas, that number may remain only on paper. Even its green jobs and safety vision for workers in coal and industry sectors lacks proper training and income support mechanisms. So overall, while the policy promotes digital empowerment, it seems to ignore ground realities. As the author says, without proper funding, audits and enforcement, it could become more about rhetoric than reform. So whenever you write the mains answer, you should mention way forward after mentioning these challenges. So let's discuss that also. So what are the way forward? Ensure funding mechanisms. We can create tripartite funding. Offline accessibility, keep non-digital options for low rate workers. Then union participation, include worker unions in policy monitoring. Gender sensitivity, add maternity benefits, flexible work and childcare, and ethical AI frameworks, prevent algorithmic bias in job matching systems, etc. So this you should include in the mains answer writing. So coming to the practice question, the draft Shram Shakti Niti 2025 claims to be future ready but fails to address the systemic exploitation of informal workers. Critically analyze the gaps in India's labor policy framework and suggest measures to ensure dignity, rights and social justice for workers. So write down the answer and post them in our Telegram group for review. Let's move from move to second article. Why astronauts wear pressurized suits? Okay, the article is all about why astronauts wear this pressurized suit, and it comes under GS3 Science and Technology Space. This article also helps us understand the basic science behind space missions. So already there are few questions were asked in previous year on the basic science behind this mission or technology used in these missions. So various questions have came in previous year. So coming to the article, in space there is no air and no atmospheric pressure. Here on Earth, our bodies constantly balance about 20 tons of air pressure around us, and we don't feel it because our internal body pressure matches it. Okay, but in space there is no external pressure. So your body fluids can boil and you would lose consciousness in seconds. That's why astronauts wear pressure suits. They protect the body, regulate oxygen and maintain stable pressure. So there are two types of pressure suit, EVA suit and IVA suits. EVA used for space walks outside the spacecraft. They are heavy, around 100 kg and work like a personal spacecraft. IVA used inside the spacecraft during takeoff and landing, lighter 8 to 10 kg but crucial if cabin pressure drops. Remember the Soyuz 11 tragedy 1971, which is mentioned in the article. In that, 3 Russian cosmonauts died when the cabin pressurized during re-entry. When the cabin depressurized during re-entry. Since then, wearing IVA suits during ascent and descent became mandatory. So, for India's upcoming Gaganyaan mission, our astronauts, the Gaganyatris, will wear the Russian so-called KV-2 suit. This is also one of the pressure suit. It has 2 layers, an air-tight inner bladder and a tough outer layer for structure and protection. It's been used successfully in over 128 Soyuz missions. So a quick recap on Gaganyaan mission. Gaganyaan launched by ISRO to send Indian astronauts into low Earth orbit, which is around approximately 400 km, for 3 days and safely return to Earth, and the target year is expected around 2025 to 2026. Then what is the significance? It is the India's first human spacecraft mission. Yes, all those are basic. So it's a major step towards India's building India's own space station in the future. So coming to the practice question, it comes under GS paper 3 S&T. Why is maintaining cabin pressure vital in space missions? Discuss the evolution and role of pressurized suits with a special reference to India's Gaganyaan mission. Finally, let's go beyond Earth. The article talks about rare Earth hypothesis. Okay, this also, yes, this comes under GS paper 1 geography and GS paper 3 science and technology. The article examines whether the rare earth hypothesis, the idea that simple life may be common but complex life is extremely rare, still holds true in light of new data from Kepler and the James Webb Space Telescope. Findings suggest that while Earth-sized planets in habitable zones are fairly common, the conditions for complex life, what are those conditions? Atmosphere retention, climate stability and tectonic activity may still be exceptionally rare. So what is discussed in the article? What is rare earth hypothesis first? Rare earth hypothesis was proposed in 2000 by Peter Watt and Donald Brownlee. They suggested that while simple life like bacteria may be common across the universe, but complex life like humans is extremely rare. Now, new observations from NASA's Kepler telescope and the James Webb Space Telescope give us a mixed picture. Kepler found that many sun-like stars have Earth-sized planets in the habitable zone. What Kepler found? Many sun-like stars have Earth-sized planets in the habitable zone. That's the region where liquid water can exist. So, Earth-like planets may not be rare. But here's the catch. Earth-sized. Being Earth-sized doesn't mean being Earth-like. Okay, it can be, the size can be Earth-sized. The size can be Earth-sized, but the conditions favorable for Earth may not be Earth-like. For example, Venus is similar in size to Earth but has deadly surface conditions. The James telescope studied planets like TRAPPIST 1b and 1c, both Earth-sized, but found they lack thick atmospheres which are essential for sustaining life. Planets orbiting M dwarf stars get blasted by radiation, often losing their air and water. Only those with strong magnetic fields or volcanic activity might hold their atmosphere, and such cases are rare. Also, long-term climate stability needs plate tectonics, which Earth has, but not all planets do. Earlier scientists believed that Jupiter protected the Earth from asteroids, but newer studies show it can sometimes increase impacts instead. So everything depends on individual planetary systems. In short, while Earth-sized planets may be common, planets that can truly support complex life with air, water, stable climate, plate tectonics, all those things are probably still very rare. Okay, this is the key argument of this article. Then coming to the quick recap of Kepler Space Telescope and James Webb Space Telescope. Here it is. Kepler by NASA 2009 and it is written 2018. What is the objective? To discover Earth-sized exoplanets orbiting other stars using the transit method. Okay, using the transit method. Then coming to James Webb, launched by 2021, NASA plus ESA plus CSA collaboration. So replaced the Hubble Space Telescope. This was asked previously in UPSC, so it's a very important telescope. Objectives here is study early galaxies, analyze atmospheres of exoplanets, then observe star and planet formation. Then coming to the practice question. What is the status of rare earth hypothesis? How have findings from the Kepler and James Webb Space Telescopes reshaped our understanding of the rarity of complex life in the universe? Okay, so that wraps up our discussion for today. So keep learning, keep questioning and stay curious, because every topic teaches us something about being human, not just about UPSC. So keep practicing. Thank you for watching and see you in the next session. Thank you.